The war zone is located in Albuquerque, New Mexico. It is often known as one of the worst places in the city. It has the stereotype of violence and crime. The war zone is located approximately 4 minutes away from the University of New Mexico by car. The war zone is an area in southeast Albuquerque. It was first set up as a place where staff from Kirtland Air Force could live. However, as time went on, it was used as a refugee area where many people from many parts of South America and Asia lived. As a result of reductions to the Kirtland Air Force, there was no longer a large presence of military staff from the Air Force. Nowadays, the Air Force staff, for the most part, lives in other parts of the city or at Kirtland itself. It is a stark difference when comparing what used to be many of the Air Force's staff home to their new home at Kirtland. The difference is visible because when I went to the edge between the war zone and what is now Kirtland Air Force, the difference was astonishing. On one side, you would have a underappreciated and neglected area, and on the other side you have these beautiful homes with protection and a large fence that restricts anyone from entering the area. The difference is quite astonishing. The war zone is known internationally. Parts of the war zone have even been used in shows such as Better Call Saul, which are shows that involve drug crimes. Shows and movies come to the war zone and film. For example, here at this ice cream shop in the war zone, they filmed an episode wherein the characters of Better Call Saul used this shop as a cover to their drug business. Visiting the war zone was quite astonishing. It was almost like entering a third world country. Right away we noticed random stray dogs in the street, and as we continued we saw some pretty disturbing images of trash in street corners and all over the side of the road. There was a bunch of clothing and shoes and different type of trash right next to the sidewalk, and after asking some local residents, they informed me that all of that has been there for multiple days and they have not been cleaned up by the city or by anyone. It was quite astonishing how neglected everything seemed. But perhaps the most impactful thing I saw was driving through the area and seeing a lot of people who appeared to be drug addicts. And so I decided to ask one of them if they were willing to be interviewed. And after asking for some while, someone finally decided to let me interview them. Jesse, also known as Smokey, was sitting behind Talon Market, located on Central, right next to the fairground. He was sitting right behind the store, and when I first went up to him, he was a bit caught off guard, and he was peeling away the skin under his feet with an X-Acto knife. Now this brought me back a memory of when I first bought an X-Acto knife from our architecture class, and it really made me think of how it was. Here I am with an X-Acto knife in school getting an education, and at the other end of the spectrum, someone was peeling away at their skin with a multitude of knives. After doing some research, it turns out that this is very common among heroin addicts. They have problems with their skin, and many of them decide to peel it off with whatever means they have. At first, Jesse did not want me to film him while he was doing this, so I waited until he was finished and continued with my interview. We talked about many topics. He told me of how he ended up in the streets. He's been homeless for 4 years, and here is parts of our interview.
Interview me?
Yeah.
What the fuck? Out of all kinds of shit that's going on, can you want to interview me right now?
Would that be alright, or?
May I ask why and what about?
So I'm trying to portray the war zone, in a new light, and and show that that it's been improving lately, but that there's still a long ways to go.
Sure. Now,
Uh-huh.
I go with what I like, which is heroin.
Uh-huh. Did you start off with heroin, or was there other drugs?
No. I started off with weed like anybody else.
Uh-huh.
And it's not a gateway drug.
Uh-huh.
And drinking.
Is there any help? Do they offer any help, or?
You could record it if you like.
Okay.
They don't offer shit.
Uh-huh.
My belief is that people just kind of look down and judge
Uh-huh.
people like drug addicts. So it's not like most of the people that are there doing their job are just doing it for a paycheck. To me, it's and this is just a purely opinion.
Uh-huh.
I think it's very good.
Yeah.
It was designed like that, kind of like how probation and all that stuff is like kind of designed to fulfill.
Yeah.
They go off a lot of what they see on television, and then right away a stereotype was already made. They take that and say, "Oh, look, there's that type of person." We see a lot of them that dress like that, so that's what kind of makes the neighborhood. But just because somebody doesn't have much and is digging in the dumpster, so that person would be a lot more humble than the rich guy in a Lamborghini.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say no, that stereotypes are probably wrong.
Uh-huh.
But Warzone, I think it's a perfect name. I could have named it better myself. I should have picked that name for it. It's more meaning to them what people think right away when they hear Warzone, and they're so narrow-minded they just think, "Oh, gangs fighting war." Well, it's bigger than that. It's the community against the city of Albuquerque. You know, I mean, it's a war against them. You know, drugs are everywhere. A lot of people don't like them. You don't understand. Drugs are the reality. You either run from them or just talk bad about them, or maybe actually do something. Solve it. A good friend of mine said once, you want to stop the dog from barking, it's food or it's water, so water can go for the throat.
It was quite astonishing, the story that Jesse told me of being a heroin addict and going through diversity and many challenges. He talked to me of the perception that the area gets. He told me that sometimes areas and people get neglected and get left behind because they look a little rough around the edges. And this applied both to him and to the area. He told me how there wasn't many solutions or many help for people like him. After the interview, after looking around, I found out that a couple blocks away was a rehab facility for the county. After going there, I found that the facility had a multitude of brand new vehicles that appeared to be there, and after asking around for some neighbors, they told me that those cars are never used. And I found it really astonishing that even with all this funding, a couple blocks away there are people doing heroin. After filming there, security immediately came and told us that we could not be filming. So we decided to leave and film from outside the property. And as we continued on the war zone, we noticed that we were being followed by police officers. As soon as we started filming them, they immediately left. Overall, the experience was a bit traumatizing and was really mind-blowing to see this other side of the war zone. I will never look at it the same, but I have a deeper understanding of what it means to be a resident of the war zone and what the war zone truly represents. I also realized that the area is highly neglected by the city. As Jesse himself said, the name the war zone has a much deeper meaning. Jesse said that the war zone is no longer about fights between gang members, but it is a fight of the war zone's community against the city of Albuquerque.
Stay in school, go to work, do whatever, do both if you can. Listen to your parents.